There is an invisible graveyard on your bookshelf. It is filled with books you bought and only read the first chapter of, running shoes gathering dust at the back of the closet, and notebooks where the first 3 pages are impeccable, beautiful handwriting, and beaches goes while the rest remains blank. This is the silent monument to your failed attempts. Most of us live addicted to the thrill of the beginning. That moment, usually on a Sunday night, when you decided that this time is for real. Dopamine floods your brain just imagining the new version of you, waking up at 5 a.m., drinking 3 liters of water, fluent in another language, with the perfect body. It is an intoxicating feeling, and it is also the most dangerous trap in existence. Because Monday arrives, and on Tuesday, the alarm clock rings, and reality has no epic soundtrack. Reality is cold, your body ashes, and the enthusiasm has evaporated. You hit the snooze button, and in that microsecond, you lost. You didn't just miss the time, you lost trust in your own word. The worst part isn't failing, it's the habit of promising and not delivering, turning your own inner voice into something you no longer respect. You have become a liar to the only person you shouldn't deceive, yourself. Does it feel harsh to hear this? Maybe it is. But the comfort of the lie is what keeps you stagnant in the same place year after year. If you are here, listening to this right now, it's because deep down you know something needs to change, not on the surface, but in the structure. This space, Kokoro, is not for passive entertainment. It is a laboratory for character building. If you are willing to hear truths that most ignore and to use tools that actually work, subscribe now. Not as a favor to the algorithm, but as the first sign of respect for your commitment to evolution. Be with us. The great modern tragedy is that we were sold the idea that change needs to be radical, loud, and immediate. Cinema and social media trained us to love the training montage, that fast sequence where the hero goes from failure to glory in 3 minutes of motivational music. But life has no edit cuts. Life is what happens on the great days when no one is watching. And this is exactly where your strategy crumbles. You try to change your entire life at once. You want to become an athlete, a monk, and an intellectual in the same week. This isn't ambition, this is arrogance. You are trying to lift 300 kilos without ever training with an empty bar. Your brain, which evolved over millennia to seek safety and save energy, panics at this sudden shift and sabotages you. It's not a lack of character, it's a primary tactical error. You are fighting a biological war against yourself, using the wrong weapons. And while you keep betting everything on willpower, there is a silent philosophy, tested for centuries on the other side of the world, that laughs at our Western haste. They understood something we forgot. The force that breaks the stone is not the hammer that strikes once with violence, but the water that drips, relentless, on the same spot, for long enough. Let's stop blaming laziness. Laziness is just a symptom, not the disease. The real reason you fail repeatedly is not moral. It is biological and systemic. Your body and mind operate under an ancient and ruthless biological law called homeostasis. Basically, it is your organism's defensive mechanism to keep everything exactly as it is: temperature, heart rate, and yes, your behaviors. When you decide to change everything on Monday, your brain doesn't interpret this as evolution. It interprets it as a threat. It triggers a danger alarm, flooding your system with cortisol and resistance, violently pulling you back to what is known, safe and comfortable. You try to fight against millions of years of biological evolution using only catchphrases you read on Instagram. It is a losing battle before it even begins. But the hole goes deeper. Beyond biology, there is a cultural addiction that has poisoned your mind since childhood. In the West, we are trained to be obsessed with arriving. Life is presented as a straight line with a pot of gold at the end. We want the promotion, the sculpted body, the diploma on the wall, the million in the account. We are addicted to the result and, consequently, We despise the process. For the modern Western mindset, training is just a boring toll we pay for the right to hold the trophy. And here lies your frustration. Because you only value the finish line, every step of the race is suffering. You wake up to run hating the run, thinking only about how good it will be when it's over. You study hating the book, thinking only about the exam. You live in the future, and those who live in the future never build anything solid in the present. Compare this with the vision of a Japanese artisan, a shokunin. For him, sharpening the tool is not a boring preliminary task before the real work. Sharpening the tool is the work. Cleaning the workshop is the work. There is no schizophrenic separation between boring preparation and glorious victory. There is only the doing. The tea ceremony master is not in a hurry to drink the tea. The goal is not to quench thirst. The goal is the precision of the movement, the mindfulness in every drop of hot water, the reverence for the moment. As long as you view discipline as a necessary punishment to obtain a future reward, you will be a slave to your own impatience. You are trying to build a skyscraper on the quicksand of immediate gratification. Your internal structure is fragile because it depends on external validation. If no one likes your workout photo, was it worth training? If the result doesn't come in a week, is it worth continuing? This all-or-nothing mentality is exactly what guarantees you end up with nothing. You treat yourself like a factory defect that needs to be fixed in a hurry, when you should treat yourself like a garden that needs to be cultivated with consistency. And gardens don't bloom because you screamed at them. They bloom because you understood the timing of the earth. The true nightmare isn't that you will try and fail spectacularly. I wish it were. Loud failure teaches. It leaves the scars that tell stories. It moves life forward. What should keep you awake at night is the terrifying possibility that nothing happens. Absolutely nothing. You will continue waking up at the same time, complaining about the same things, making the same mistakes, and feeling that dull emptiness in your chest that you try to fill with food, shopping, or hours of infinite scrolling on your phone screen. The danger isn't the fall, it is stagnation. It is the concept of entropy applied to the human soul. In nature, everything that isn't growing is dying. There is no stability. If you aren't intentionally climbing the mountain, the gravity of life is inevitably pulling you down. Think about the real cost of this, not the financial cost, but the existential cost. Imagine meeting the version of you that could have existed 10 years from now. That version of you who didn't hit snooze. That version who read the books, who trained, who took care of their mind, who had the courage to say no to distractions. Looking into the eyes of that person and realizing that the only difference between the two of you wasn't genetics, wasn't luck, wasn't money. It was just a sequence of small daily choices, microscopic decisions you refused to make out of laziness or fear. There is an ancient definition of hell that says exactly this. Hell is reaching the end of your life and meeting the person you could have become. The abyss between who you are and who you could be is measured in regret. And regret is the only pain that time does not heal. It only makes it heavier. The lie of tomorrow I'll start is the most potent anesthetic in existence. It allows you to commit suicide on your potential in soft installments without feeling immediate pain. But time does not negotiate and does not forgive. Neuroscience is clear. Your brain's plasticity, the ability to change, requires effort. As the years pass, without stimulus, your neural pathways become rigid highways of automatic behavior. The cement is drying. Changing today is already hard. Changing 5 years from now, with these fossilized habits, will be a brutal war against your own biology. Every time you give up on a goal, you aren't just failing to win. You are strengthening the neural pathway of quitting. You are literally training your brain to be excellent at giving up. You are becoming a black belt in disappointing yourself. Is this the mastery you want to take to the grave? The bill for this negligence will arrive. And when it arrives, there will be no discount and no payment plan. You now find yourself in the middle of the war zone. It is the third or fourth day of your new attempt. The euphoria of novelty has vanished, and what remains is pure friction. It is at this moment that your mind begins to do something perverse. It starts to negotiate. It is a subtle, almost affectionate voice that whispers, "You worked hard today. You deserve to rest," or "Starting next Monday is the same thing," or "Just today won't make a difference." This internal negotiation is the sound of your discipline being assassinated, and you lose this argument 99% of the time. Why? Because you are betting everything on a finite and exhaustible resource called willpower. Behavioral science has already mapped this. Willpower works like a phone battery. You wake up with it full, but every decision you make throughout the day, the clothes you wear, the email you answer, the irritation you swallow in traffic consume is a little of that charge. When night comes, the time you reserve to change your life, read that difficult book, or go to the gym, your battery is in the red. You have no biological energy left to say no to immediate comfort, and so you fail, and upon failing, you feel weak, lazy, incapable. But the mistake wasn't a lack of strength. The mistake was depending on strength. You built a strategy that demands you be a hero every day. This is unsustainable. The Western mentality of no pain, no gain, of glorious suffering, taught you to believe that if it isn't hard, it isn't worth it, that you need to grit your teeth and fight against your instincts all the time. This is a civil war inside your own head. And in a civil war, it doesn't matter who wins. The country ends up destroyed. You live exhausted not by physical effort, but by the mental effort of having to convince yourself to do what needs to be done every single day. It is self-inflicted psychological torture. While you try to kick down the door of resistance, screaming and sweating, Eastern wisdom suggests that you simply turn the doorknob. The problem is that the doorknob is at a height your ego refuses to reach. It is down low in the humility of the small step. You are stuck because you want to run a marathon, but you refuse to walk to the corner. The weight of your expectation is crushing your capacity for action. You made the goal so big, so scary, and so distant that your brain freezes in front of the mountain. And while you look at the summit, frozen by fear and perfectionism, time passes. You need to stop trying to be incredible. You need to start being simply consistent. Enough war. The solution isn't to scream louder at yourself. It is to change the rules of the game. The answer Japan offers us is disarmingly simple. Lower the bar. Lower the standard of requirement so much that it is impossible to fail. Forget the goal of reading a book a week. Commit to reading a single page a day. Forget the marathon. Commit to putting on your shoes. This is Kaizen. By reducing the initial friction, you trick your brain's amygdala. You get into motion without triggering the fear alarm. And once in motion, physics takes over. A body in motion tends to stay in motion. Inertia becomes your ally, not your enemy. Stop trusting your memory or your willpower. Trust your environment. If you want to play the guitar, it cannot be stored in its case inside the closet. It has to be in the middle of the living room, tripping you up. If you want to stop using your phone in bed, the charger must be in another room. Create a system where bad behavior is difficult and good behavior is inevitable. This is choice architecture. You don't need to be strong all the time. You just need to be smart, wants to organize your surroundings. Japanese discipline isn't magic. It is behavioral engineering applied to the soul. But the final step, the true secret that separates amateurs from masters, is making peace with boredom. The media sells the idea that passion must burn every day. A lie. Most of the process of any great achievement is monotonous. It is repeating the basics again and again on cold days, without applause, without likes, without anyone watching. Respect for the process means understanding that boredom isn't a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that you are on the right path. Excellence is made of common tasks performed with uncommon care. Embrace the repetition. Find the beauty in the daily ritual, not just on the final podium. Now, the choice is in your hands. You can close this video and return to the cheap dopamine of social media, forgetting everything you heard in 10 minutes. Or you can choose a single thing, small, ridiculous in its simplicity, and do it today, not tomorrow. Today, discipline is the only form of freedom that exists. Without it, you are a slave to your impulses, your mood, and circumstances. With it, you become the architect of your own reality. I want to know who made it this far, who is truly willing to leave the bleachers and enter the arena. If you understood that consistency beats intensity, write the following phrase in the comments: I respect the process. Write nothing else, just that phrase. It will be our code, a silent signal between us that you stopped looking for shortcuts and started walking for real. Your future self is waiting for you to start. Go and do it.